Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 176. Today I'm going to talk about Dreadball, the futuristic sports game. This is a two-player only game from Mantic Games. They're kind of more focused on miniature board games, but they are our board game company. This is very much like Blood Bowl, if you're familiar with that or if you've played that. Each player is going to get two teams. One is going to be, in this case, humans or marauders. There are extra teams that you can get. This is the basic game here, not Kickstarter with any of the extras or anything. This is like, so if you were to go in the store or go online and buy this, this is what you're going to get, what I'm going to show you. It's meant to be played in leagues, so you can, organize a league and get teams and play sort of like a tournament idea or season. Your players are going to, if you play in the league, your players are going to sort of persist. So some of them may get injured, they may die, different things like that. You may get MVPs that you can kind of auction off for in between rounds, so you can get kind of, change up your team as the league progresses. This game plays very much quicker than Blood Bowl. The box is 30 to 60 minutes. And that's about right. So, I mean, the games I think are going to be right around 60 minutes every time, especially as you become familiar with the game. I'll explain a little bit with the rules. I could see them even being shorter than 60 minutes. So let me, walk you through how it works quickly, and I'll come back and talk more about it. Okay, I've got the board here set up. There's no real strategy to the way I set it up. I just kind of put everything out randomly. Now you can see there's basically 6 areas on the board here that are sort of these scoring areas, and these are where players are going to be performing strikes, basically scoring baskets or points or touchdowns or whatever. What you're going to try to do is get one of your players here in the opposite side, get in here in this zone, and then make a throw, and then try to get a strike. You're going to get extra points if you're in the little hex here that's in the spot that's farthest from the strike zone there. And here we've got this little tiny ball. You probably can't even see this, but I'll kind of try to put it in front there. The game comes with 2 of these. What's going to happen is you're going to launch the ball in like so, and then you're going to roll a die. So let's just roll that there. That's 3. So let's say we launched it from this side. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then that's where it's going to end up. And then we're going to begin the game. Now it's possible to launch it all the way down here with a 6, and then kind of have it bounce off the wall here and sort of scatter. Once the ball is launched, the home team, in this case the Marauders here, they're in white. They're going to get a card that here has the home fans card, and then in this case, this side will get the visiting fans. The home team will get to go first. They're going to do the first rush here. You can see down over here. A rush is basically a turn, and then once they finish, they're going to get 5 actions, and the rush may end at the end of their actions. It may end earlier. Then we're going to move over here. The visiting side's going to get 5 actions, and we're going to go all the way down here, and we're going to go until the 14th rush or the 14th turn. Now it's possible that the game could end earlier than the 14th turn if a team is ahead by 7 or more points. So when you score some points, let's say the home team here scored a couple of points, we're going to move this marker over here. Let's say they've got, they've got 4-0 lead here. Well, if the opposite side scores points, we're just going to reduce this like so. So if it's a tie, we don't really keep track of the total score, just basically the point differential. And then if it moves all the way over here to the 7 side at the end of a particular round, then that team is going to win because it's basically a blowout, sort of a mercy roll. Each team gets 5 of these little action markers here. These are just to help you keep track of the actions. You can just take and discard them, or maybe put them on your card there to keep track of how many actions you've used for that round. Now when you spend actions, you basically spend actions and activate one of your units here. Now you can only do 2 actions per character per rush, so I couldn't activate this guy all 5 times. I'd have to figure out some other people to activate, but you can use 2 on them. And you can also do a special action. So the players are going to get these cards, and depending on the type of team and sort of where they're at in the league, if you're playing a league game, you're going to get a certain number of these cards at the beginning of the game, usually 1 or 2. Some of these are special here, so you got special move, there's events, and there's a bunch of other things, but a character can have not only 2 actions played on them, but they can also have one special move card played on them. I'll talk more about these cards in a second. Now, as I said before, this is in the future, and the theory is that this ball can travel like 200 miles an hour, and it can actually also be used as a weapon. So if you want, you can actually throw this directly at another player and try to knock them down and knock them over, maybe even do some bodily harm to them. So to start the game, there's basically 3 types of characters that you can have on your team. There's basically strikers, jacks, and guards. Now, if you play a league and kind of level your guys up, it's possible for your guards here to become a keeper, and it's also possible for different characters to get different abilities beyond the ones that I'm going to talk about today. I'm obviously not going to talk about all those because the video would be super long, but they can kind of level up and get different characteristics, different traits, even different special actions that are going to be available to them. Now, players are going to get these little sheets here to keep track, you know, game by game, and track their experience points and all kinds of good stuff like that. So let me just talk quickly about the three basic types. So the first type here is a guard, and this is the Marauder guard here. You can tell, just a quick component thing, I haven't painted these. I am going to give this away to my buddy to play in their Blood Bowl league. They've got somebody in the league with this, so they're going to get a lot more play out of this. So I've kind of left it unpainted, so forgive me for that. But I'd like to let them, you know, take care of that. But you can see the detail is actually pretty nice on here. Now, I did have to do a little bit of assembling and gluing on each of these. They come pretty much assembled. Some of these various guys you have to, like, you know, put a head on and then an arm, and then you just do a little bit of glue, but they snap in pretty good anyways. But this is the guard. They can't pick up the ball. They can't throw the ball. These guys are stronger. They're really good at knocking the other players down, possibly doing some damage to them. And these are sort of like your tanks or your linemen, that kind of thing, if you're thinking, you know, American football terms. I should say the game also comes with these bases here, so if you want, you can glue these. And I've seen online where people have actually painted these bases, done some really neat things. And this will kind of help you with facing, because facing is very important, you know, based on which angle of the hex they're facing and, you know, what kind of threat or different abilities they can do. Next we have the strikers here, and now the Marauders here, the orcs, they don't have any strikers. Only the humans have these. The strikers are basically your speed guys. These are the guys that you can see. Maybe you can see that he's got a little glove there. They're going to be catching the ball, throwing the ball. These are the guys that are going to be scoring your points. They're weaker than the guards, but in the speed, though, kind of makes up for that, and the fact that they can score points. Now we also have jacks here. Now the jacks are sort of like jack of all trades. So these guys, they can do some slams and stuff like that, like the guards can. They can catch the ball. They can throw the ball. They're not quite as good as the guards, or excuse me, as the strikers in this case. But to balance out these particular teams, the Marauders definitely have the better guards, while the humans have, you know, they have guards and strikers and jacks. But, you know, the strikers are the kind of, you know, the higher point scoring, where this side is sort of stronger. You know, they try to do a lot more damage, where these guys are trying to get around them and stuff. I don't want to get into too much of an exhaustive rules walkthrough here, because two things. There's a lot of rules in some sense, but in some other senses, it's a very, very simple game. And it basically comes down to doing tests for different things. Not unlike Blood Bowl, but the tests in this are a lot more straightforward. So if I'm testing, let's say this guy's going to go up and slam this guy. He's going to roll a couple of dice. He's going to roll 3 dice, and then you're going to look at his strength ability. And in this case here, the Marauder strength is 3. Now the lower the number, the better. So he's going to roll some dice here. Let's take a look at there. So he's got 3 successes, like so. So he's got 2 4s, then I rolled a 6 on this one. And the thing that's cool about that is if you roll a 6, you can add another die. It's kind of like an exploding die, and we'll roll that. So there's 4 successes. So basically he's beat his own strength score. He's got 4 successes. Whereas this guy here, he's going to roll another test, and you're usually going to roll 3 dice when you do a test to start with. And then, so he's going to roll those, and he's got a strength of 4, because he's a human, he's a little bit weaker. And then, so he's got a 5 there, he's only got 1 success. So what you do is you compare the number of successes from one guy versus another. And that's going to come into play in all kinds of different cases. So if you're trying to, like, basically move, you know, around a guy, you'll have to do an evade check, and then you're going to compare your die rolls to your speed ability and different things like that. Everything you're going to do is basically going to be doing a check, and you're just comparing the number of successes. So it's very straightforward. I think you're going to get the hang of it very quickly. And I'm going to run through everything that you can do real quickly, but I just want to say, just to make a quick comment, this rule book is amazing. It's very well illustrated, and I know the illustrations don't really mean a lot to me, to be honest, but it's full of flavor, it's full of all kinds of examples, and just the clarity of the rules and the different things that you can do. I mean, there's league rules in here and stuff too. This is just how a rule book should be done. It also looks really nice, and it's just, you know, high quality made rule book. This is very, very straightforward, but I will advise anybody watching this video, anybody in general, to go ahead and print out some of these different charts and things on Board Game Geek. Now these I printed out, there's several of these, and I just kind of chose these. I'll put some links to them in the video. So this, like this one here, it shows you all the different kind of abilities here. So when you run, you're going to do this. When you sprint, you're going to do this. When you do a slam, if you're this kind of guy or this kind of guy, you're going to do this thing. And then the target can like slam back, or they can dodge, if you can steal, all this stuff. Now this looks really complicated, but it's not. Basically, like I said, you're going to roll 3 dice usually, and then compare to your strength number, your speed number, your skill number, count the amount of successes you had versus the amount of successes your opponent had, and then, you know, do the effect from there. So I highly recommend that. This is really all you need to play the game, is this sheet here. Now there's some other nice sheets that you can get. Setup information. It has all of the different stats of the different, you know, characters on the different teams and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of good stuff there. I just recommend printing a few of these out, and then you'll be all good to go. So let's talk about movement. The very simple thing you can do is you can run, and you basically move up to whatever their movement speed is. So if his movement speed was 4, he could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you run, you can turn and, you know, turn facing and do everything you want. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4 and jump all over the place and then orient my facing however I want. Now, if you do a sprint, you can move up to twice your movement speed. However, if you do that, then facing is key. So anytime you turn one angle on one of these hexes, that's going to count as one of your movement points. So if he could move 4, then I could sprint up to 8, but I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's better to sprint if you're running in a straight line. You want to maybe go grab a dangling ball that's out somewhere. So at the end of a run or a sprint, you can also do a dash. So let's say you move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there, let's say, and then so now he wants to dash for 1 extra space, you know, get a little extra burst. So you're going to roll 3 dice, you're going to compare it to your speed. So if you're a striker though, remember those are guys that are good at, they're fast, they're going to catch the ball and throw the ball, you get an extra bonus die as a striker. So you're going to roll that, compare that to your speed ability. If you get 1 success, then you're good, you can move up 1 extra space. Then if you wanted to dash again, you're going to roll 3 dice, again +1 if you're a striker. Then you've got to have 2 successes. So some of the things on like this, they sort of have cascading success requirements. So the first time you only need 1 success, then you can do it a second time, you need 2 successes, and then if you want to try it a third time, you need 3 successes. So you got to be careful here when you're dashing, especially as you try it more and more times. If you fail, your guy's going to fall over. If you're carrying the ball and you fall over, then you're going to drop the ball, and your rush, your turn is going to end. So if you ever, you know, drop the ball or fumble it or throw it and it doesn't get anybody, your turn's going to end prematurely. So you normally get 5 actions, but you got to be careful to sort of take all your other actions, and then anything dealing with the ball, you want to kind of do that at the end of your turn. That way, if he does drop the ball, then you haven't wasted, you know, your whole turn. So let's move this out of the way, and let's say he's trying to get around this guy here. Let's say he wants to move over here. So each of the players has what's called threat hexes, and basically the 3 hexes in front of their facing. So if you draw a line sort of through the character here, you've got 1, 2, 3. Those are his 3 threat hexes, and then anything behind him is just considered in his backward arc, I guess you could say. So if this guy was here and he was trying to move here, he would have to make an evade check because he would be in this guy's threat hex there. So again, you roll 3 dice, you make a speed check. If you fail, you fall over. You just keep going like that. Next thing you can do is you can slam a guy, basically trying to push him back or knock him down. If you're a guard, you're going to get an extra bonus dice on top of the normal 3. You're going to compare a strength check. The other guy's also going to be able to do a slam back or a dodge. In that case, they're going to roll 3 dice. They're going to compare a strength check, and then you're going to count the number of successes. So if I had more successful rolls than you, then I win. And depending on how many successes I had, I may just push you back a space. I may push you back and knock you over, and then you'll have to do an armor check. Each character has an armor ability that they're going to roll dice to compare. They may get injured. If you get injured, you go over here to what's called the sin bin. You can also go here if you get kicked out of the game by the referee. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then as each round progresses, you're going to sort of heal up and then come back in to your bench down here. So this is the bench, so you can have players come back in. I mean, you could be down. You're going to start off with 6 players, but especially if you're playing the humans against the Marauders, they may take out all your guys, knock them out, get them injured. So you're going to be down guys. You're going to have to come in here and start rushing them back in. But you can almost use that as a little bit of a strategy too, to sort of zerg out of this bench here. The other thing you can do is you can pick up the ball here. So let me just move the ball there, get this guy out of the way. So he can come in here. He can make an attempt to pick up the ball. So again, if you're a striker, you're going to get a bonus die. You're going to basically compare this to your skill stat. Remember, these guys are jacks, they're not strikers, so they don't get that bonus. If you were sprinting to get the ball, you're going to reduce a die. If you fail to pick up the ball's going to scatter, and it's possible that your rush will end. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a direction that X is 1. So let's say this guy tried to pick it up, he failed. We're going to say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We roll a die, so 1, 2, 3. It's going to go out this way. And then we're going to see how far it's going to move. 1, 2, so it's going to move over here. Nobody's in this spot here, so the rush is going to end. It's going to be the next guy's turn. Finally, the last thing you can do, last thing I'm going to talk about here, is you can do a throw. So I can try to throw this either at an opponent here. I can try to throw that to him and knock him down. I can throw it, to one of my teammates here, and I can put that over there and maybe try to throw it over to him. He's going to try to catch it. Or if I'm in this space, like I was saying, you can try to, throw it and make a strike. So what you're going to do is you're going to count the hexes between you and your target. You can never throw it further than 9 hexes. And based on the number of hexes, you're going to roll a certain number of dice. So if it's 7 to 9 hexes away, you're only going to roll 1 die. If it's a short distance up to 3 hexes, you'll roll 3 die. If you moved for that action, not necessarily on the whole turn, but if you moved on the action to move and throw, then you're going to reduce a die, but then you're going to add a die if you're the striker. If you're catching the ball, you're going to basically be able to roll the number of dice, the number of successes that the thrower rolls. Then I would compare that to my skill and then hopefully catch the ball, otherwise it's going to scatter. Now there's some other details in here. I mean, so like, with the slam thing, if somebody's in the opposing threat hex, then you're going to lose a die that you're going to roll. So if he was trying to slam him, like so, and this guy was here, he would be in his threat hex. So what the modifier is going to be, it's not going to modify the dice, you're just going to lose a die to roll, and things like that. Another example is if you're actually throwing for a strike, you're going to lose a die when you're trying a strike, as opposed to throwing it to another player. So there's a few modifiers like that. They're all actually very nicely laid out here. You can just kind of walk down the chart. But the game does play quickly. Again, you just roll, you do whatever you're trying to do, you do a check, you roll 3 dice usually, and then you see how many successes you have. Now let's talk quickly about the cards here. So each player is going to start with 1 or 2 cards. At the end of your rush, at the end of your turn, you're going to flip this over, and you're going to be able to move the referee here, which I haven't talked about, in that case 5 spaces. So I could try to get her in a position where she's kind of got her eye on the other team. So you can move it this number of spaces here. Other things that will happen here is if you turn over an event card, let's say we end a rush, we flip it over, we move the ref that many spaces, then some event may happen. And these are all different kinds of different events that are sort of, add a little bit of chaos and flavor to the game. Like I said, you can play these on a player for sort of a third bonus action. And these can be all kinds of different things like a slam or throw, sort of little surprises and things. Sometimes the game will tell you to sort of randomly find a player. And so when you paint these, you're going to add numbers to them, or you can put little numbers in their bases here. So you're going to walk down until you find a player matching that number, and then that event or whatever happened is going to affect them. Now if you do something really cool, like you score from a distance here, or you double the amount of successes for a score, then you're going to kind of excite the fans. You're going to draw a card off the deck here, and you're going to add this here underneath your little fan card here. So whenever you get up to 3 dots, you're going to add one of these coaching dice. Now you're going to start the game, depending on which team you are, with one of these coaching die, and these can be sort of like used in a desperate thing. So if you failed something, you need to roll one of your coaching dice if you want to try to recover. So once you roll this though, you're going to spend it. That is until you acquire a little bit more fan support and you get a little bit more energy for your team. That's a pretty cool little mechanism there. So the cards are versatile. I think they add a lot to the game. They make it fun. They make it exciting. Kind of surprises and things like that. Little events. The last thing I want to talk about here is the referee here. So the game comes with a referee, and you can actually try to commit fouls on purpose. A couple of fouls might be, so let's say you had knocked a guy down, and then you want to basically do another slam on a guy that's down. That would be considered a stomp. Basically, you're trying to injure him. Another example might be you may block. You can see here where the bench is. You may sit there and try to block them from coming in. That's considered stalling. That's not legal. You may even try to sneak in extra guys onto the field here, because you can only have 6 guys on the pitch here at any one time, but it's feasible to try to sneak on an extra guy. Maybe you guys are on one side here, and you need some guys to back up as they've broken through, and you need somebody to tackle. When you do that, you're always going to roll one die here for the eye in the sky, because there's sort of a robotic eye that's invisible. You're going to roll to check if it catches you. However, you're going to roll additional die if the referee is within 7 hexes of where the infraction is taking place. So there is some strategy a little bit to moving the referee into certain areas to try and catch you. A couple other things just quickly I didn't mention, but I should, just to let you know that they're there. You can try to steal the ball from a player, knock it out of their hands, try to end their rush, or just take the ball from them. And one thing that's really cool, so after a score, the players are going to stay where they are. The ball's then immediately going to be injected into here, going to the next team's turn, and then launched. So you may have overcommitted, in a sense, to try to score some points, and then it kind of left your defenses open for a guy here that's standing right by the center line here to come snag the ball, quickly score a strike. So it's very, very fast-paced in that way. And that's a really, really interesting mechanic to keep the game and the whole field very interesting. I really like that part of the game. And that, for the most part, is Dreadball. Okay, hope you enjoyed the overview. If you didn't watch the walkthrough, I'll talk about why I kind of like this game, or why I really like this game. I think if you were watching the walkthrough, you kind of got some idea of some of the things that I really enjoy about the game. I'll go ahead and repeat myself a little bit here. I really like the fast-paced nature of it. It's very, very straightforward. It's very intuitive. Basically, I need to get the ball, I need to score it, I need to knock your guys down. I need to kind of leave people in a nice position to protect my defense and my offense, because remember, when you score, the players don't go and reset. They just stay where they are. You launch the ball back into the pitch, and then you just go right back at it. I like the cards. I like the sort of the events that can happen. The referee is really neat. You're trying to. I like the referee isn't really neat. I like the fact that you can try to break the rules. And in the rule book, it says the other coach, the other player, has to catch you breaking the rules. So it's feasible that you could just say, okay, as your guy's coming in through the sin bin into your bench, you can just say, okay, I'm moving him out. And if the other player doesn't say anything, then then you can get away with it for as long as you can. They have to see it and declare a foul, call a foul, and then you make the ref check and you roll the dice for that to see if he gets caught. So that's really neat. I mean, that's just a cool aspect of the game. I like that there are some key positions on the board. So remember, if you are far away from a couple of the strike zones, then you score extra points. And I should say that the furthest one that's furthest away, because there's 3 on each side and there's 1 on each side that's deeper in, that one will actually give you 2 and 4 points, I believe. So if you score a normal one, it's 2, but then if you get a nice bonus one, you'll score 4 there. So that's kind of cool. You have different, key areas on the board that you've got to keep track of. And just a lot of the little details and the intricacies of, the different various little details of the rules are cool. Like you've got the 3 threat hexes you've got to watch out for, just some of the positioning and things like that. It seems to work really well and just flow very naturally. So I mean, I can't say enough about it. One thing, getting sort of to the Blood Bowl comparison is, this is one that I would break out and just play a game of without being in a league. So as I said before, I'm going to give it to my buddy who plays Blood Bowl. He's the only one that I'll play this with, so he may as well have it. But I'd be happy to just sit down there and break out a team, even a game with these 2 basic teams, and just play a quick game of it. I mean, it only takes an hour. And I think the intuitiveness of it, the quickness of the game relative to Blood Bowl, makes it a lot more accessible for new players. And being able to introduce it to new people, if you have a league and somebody's like, oh, that looks really neat, instead of this monstrosity of a thing, a behemoth of Blood Bowl with all of these different rules and different living rule books and stuff, you can whip this out to somebody, show it to them. They can like it or not, and then they can come in and they can get their own copy cheaply as well. I don't remember how much Blood Bowl costs, but it's a lot more than this, I'm pretty sure. So it's got that accessibility to it, and it's just really fun. There are these thematic story kind of moments in the game that are going to happen, and stuff. So that is Dreadball, and I will be interested to see how this kind of, whether it takes off or not. I know Blood Bowl is still pretty regularly played throughout the world, really, and I'm keen to kind of listen and kind of see how the leagues play out. I did read the league rules. There was something with the MVPs being auctioned off every round, and you can kind of, you know, get really superstar players on your team and sort of bid for them. And as you win games, you get cash and stuff from playing the games and how well you did in the league and things like that. That seemed a little bit weird to me, but this, I haven't tried it, so it was like, you know, okay, so you've got this super orc smasher guy, and I have him for one game, and then you get him for the other game, and like, whose copy of that orc are we going to have? Is it my model that you're using? Do we both need to buy, you know, have that same model? And I've painted it, you know, in my team colors, and so everybody's got to have their own copy of the model in their own team colors for each various team they have. You know, it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of interesting to how that actually will logistically work out. You know, that'd be interesting. So I'll be interested to hear that. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's great. So if you have, I would say I mean, in my opinion, I'm not a Blood Bowl guy, you know, so it's okay. It's an okay game, Blood Bowl. It's a little bit cumbersome, really, but for what it is, you know, that kind of thing. But this one, I would recommend this one over Blood Bowl right now. So Blood Bowl super fans probably disagree, and if you are one and watch this, then tell me why I'm wrong, but that's fine. But I would say this is really, really, really fun game, and I think it really gets at the heart of what this kind of game is about. So anyway, so it's fun. Yeah, I have one person I'm going to play it with, though, so I'm not going to keep it. But I am looking forward to playing it again. So anyway, thanks.